Something is changing between Canada and the United States, and now the numbers are starting to prove it. For decades, millions of Canadians cross the border every single year, filling American hotels, casinos, restaurants, and tourist cities with billions of dollars. But now, more and more Canadians are walking away from the U.S. entirely, and some American cities are starting to feel the damage.
The largest decline, according to the report by the LVCVA, came from Canada. Visitors down 17.4% year over year in 2025.
It's a big loss for us because 17% it's a big number of decrease.
For me, it's mixed emotions. On one hand, I'm proud to see Canadians standing together and boycotting. But at the same time, I do feel bad for the American businesses that had nothing to do with all this chaos and didn't support Trump. Still, at the end of the day, the US moves as one country and he's the president, and that brings us to Las Vegas, where the impact is being felt right now. Meanwhile, back in Canada, Montreal is preparing for what could be one of its biggest summers ever. Unlike some other cities, Montreal also won't be stuck dealing with massive FIFA-related debt. So later, we'll look at why the city is expecting such a huge boost. And speaking of Montreal, the Montreal Canadiens are basically becoming Canada's team right now. With Ottawa and Edmonton out, it feels like the rest of the country is starting to rally behind them. I'll admit it, I'm jumping on the bandwagon too because there's not much to cheer for in Vancouver these days. Even when we try to tank, we somehow can't get that right. At least Leafs fans have something to celebrate with the #1 pick, so congrats to them. Alright, and enough about my struggling team. Let's get into the first report coming out of Las Vegas.
Well, travel from Canada to Las Vegas declined by more than 17% last year. That's according to a new report from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. Now, the report highlights just which international tourists are visiting and which ones are just skipping Las Vegas. 8 News Now reporter Aaron Ariano is live on the Las Vegas Strip tonight with how these numbers are actually making some business owners feel a little bit uneasy about this upcoming summer. Aaron?
Yeah, Denise, this report really does highlight the declining international travel here to Las Vegas between the years of 2024 and 2025. We also saw less tourism from the UK, Germany, and France.
Honestly, I'm glad they finally mentioned specific countries like the UK, Germany, and France. I've been covering what's happening in Las Vegas for over a year now, and most reports usually just say international visitors or Canadians without giving any real details. Sometimes you just want to know exactly which countries are pulling back from traveling to the US. Later in the report, they interview a couple from the UK, and of course they say they're having a great time. But I mean, if you've flown all the way to Las Vegas and a camera gets put in front of you, you're probably not going to complain on TV. Still, at least this time, we actually know where the tourists are from. Their accent made that pretty obvious, and that's a lot better than some of the earlier reports where they claimed a guy was from Toronto, even though nothing about him sounded Canadian at all.
Canadians, they think different things, man, and Americans just have that set in stone, soul that they, just the culture. It's too cold. Canada's just so cold, and Vegas, Vegas is just beautiful. It's like 85 degrees right now, t-shirt, shorts.
I mean, come on. If you're going to fake a Canadian, at least pick someone who actually sounds Canadian. That clip honestly annoyed a lot of people, even outside the GTA community, and it wasn't just people on YouTube saying it either. Over on Reddit, some users actually started digging into it and claimed the guy was really from Texas, not Toronto. That's why so many Canadians felt the whole thing looked forced and fake from the start.
Numbers, one business owner tells me, says do not surprise him.
That's a massive decrease.
Their numbers not everyone wants to hear.
Just for the record, these might not be the numbers some people in the US want to hear, but the rest of the world is definitely paying attention to them. Just saying.
Total international travelers to Las Vegas in 2025, 4.7 million. That is down nearly 5% from 2024.
We predicted that really slow summer. So we have to get ready for that rainy season.
Carl Magalagada runs Western Village One Stop souvenir store on Fremont Street. He says it's something he's noticed as well. He estimates seeing hundreds of customers fewer a day than he typically saw just a few years ago.
Let's see if we get 500 customers a day. Now it's going to be like 200, 300. It's a big loss.
Now, like I said at the start of the video, I have mixed feelings about all of this. On one hand, I'm glad Canadians are sticking to the boycott, but on the other hand, it is tough hearing that some businesses are down 50%. I have no idea who this guy voted for. Maybe Trump, maybe Harris, maybe he didn't vote at all. Maybe he's not even allowed to vote. We'll probably never know. But at the end of the day, that's unfortunately not really my problem. And just for the record, I've actually been to the Silver Shop down on Fremont before. I didn't spend much. I think I bought a mug or a coffee cup or something like that. But businesses like that definitely notice when Canadian tourists stop showing up, and they're probably missing Canadian dollars right now more than ever.
The largest decline, according to the report by the LVCVA, came from Canada. Visitors down 17.4% year over year in 2025.
It's a big loss for us because 17% it's a big number of decrease.
Despite the decline, Canadian travel represented the largest portion of international travel, with nearly 1.2 million visitors in 2025. Tourists from Germany and France also declined, as did visitors from the United Kingdom.
It's one of the best trips we've actually had abroad.
Denise and Richard are visiting from England over the next few days. While the report does not give a specific reason for these declining numbers, they believe politics could be playing a role.
Wow. Nothing gets past the people who made this report. I mean, at least they admitted politics might be part of the reason, because over the last year we've heard some businesses blame everything else instead. The rain, the weather, the exchange rate, construction. Honestly, the excuses just kept piling up. I even remember one shop owner somehow trying to blame Canadian food banks for fewer tourists coming down. So yeah, compared to all that, at least this report is willing to say the politics could be involved. But let's be honest, that's still a pretty low bar.
Probably the dislike for Donald Trump in the UK that's dropped our numbers down.
I like Donald Trump, so.
So you guys,
We do like Trump. It's just that a lot of the UK aren't that keen on Trump.
Well, they say politics was not enough to keep them away from Las Vegas so far during their trip. They say they've been enjoying a lot of deals, shopping, and hotels. On a plus side, from that report, visitors from Mexico saw a 1% increase year over year. Reporting live from the Strip, Aaron Ariano, 8 News Now.
We can also tell you that visitors from Asia-Pacific countries like Australia, as well as South Korea and Japan, did see increases between 3 to 10% last year compared to 2024.
Remember how I said these reports always try to end on a positive note? Well, I guess that was their positive spin. Do I fully believe it? I'm not so sure. But what I do know is this: whether the real number is 17% or something else, the drop in tourism is clearly having an impact. Oh, and the cat finally showed up. It's been pretty quiet lately when it comes to US tourism numbers, but I have a feeling that's about to change. Usually these stories come in waves, and over the next few weeks, we're probably going to see more cities and tourist destinations talking about how they're preparing for the summer season. But honestly, I'm already noticing a trend. A lot of these places are just hoping they can match last year's numbers. And that's where things get tricky. Last year, a lot of Canadians and international tourists still went ahead with their US vacations because the trips were already booked and couldn't be refunded. Most of those plans were made before Trump got back into office. This year is different. People have had time to rethink where they want to spend their money. And just like I jumped on the Montreal Canadiens bandwagon, more people are jumping on the boycott bandwagon too. So while parts of the US tourism industry are crossing their fingers and hoping for a decent summer, here in Canada we don't really have to hope for tourists to show up. In fact, Montreal is getting ready for what could be one of its biggest summers yet. Let's take a look.
Where are you visiting from?
California.
I'm visiting from the Philippines.
From St. Louis.
I'm living in Toronto.
Connecticut.
Saint-Brieuc, France, Bretagne.
Montreal is gearing up for a packed summer, from festivals and the Grand Prix to a major international cycling event in September. Add to that the 50th anniversary of the 1976 Summer Olympics and a playoff run from the Habs, and the city is already buzzing.
And on top of that, Montreal doesn't have a massive FIFA event hanging over the city that could leave taxpayers with huge costs afterward. Honestly, skipping out on the World Cup might end up being one of the smartest decisions they made. Because from the sounds of it, Montreal already has more than enough concerts, festivals, and major events lined up this summer. So for the city, not hosting FIFA really doesn't seem like much of a loss at all.
Tourism Montreal is forecasting about 5% growth across Canadian, US and international markets, with hotel occupancy expected to average around 80% between June and September, with peaks reaching 85%.
We are expecting a very nice summer, maybe the best summer of all time for Tourism Montreal.
We can see that there is a 7% rise in room demand for the hotels in Montreal for the summer.
Now, you have to wonder how many of these domestic and international bookings would normally have gone to the United States instead. Just from my own community alone, I've seen emails and comments from people saying they would usually vacation in places like Florida or California, but this year they're choosing Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Quebec City, BC, or the Maritimes instead. So I'm not trying to overhype Canada here. I'm just pointing out the trend that seems to be happening right now. And one thing is for sure, the US tourism industry would absolutely love to have a piece of that business right now.
You feel it in the city. You feel it with the hockey fever as well. People are looking forward to have a bit more warm temperature, but they're ready to roll.
Last year alone, Montreal welcomed 12 million visitors, including roughly 2 million Americans and about 500,000 from around the world.
Montreal is more accessible than ever. We now have 165 direct flights from all around the world.
One of the biggest events the city will see this year is the UCI Road World Championships from September 20th to 27th, bringing 1,000 elite riders across 13 events. Officials say the city can expect nearly 500,000 visitors, making it the biggest event Montreal has hosted since the 1976 Olympic Games.
I'm willing to bet this event won't have the CEO demanding a giant motorcade. But honestly, it's great to hear that Montreal is hosting something that could bring in crowds close to the scale of the old Olympics days. And for those of you watching from outside Canada, do you have any plans to visit Canada or maybe Montreal this summer? And if you're from Montreal, what are some places tourists absolutely need to check out? Let everyone know down in the comments. Now, for those of you watching from Montreal, let's hear what some tourists visiting your city had to say about their experience there.
And that summer surge is already starting to take shape, with visitors arriving early and momentum building across the city.
It's only been 2 days. We are visiting Montreal, so there is a lot of things to do.
Culture, the food, the vibe, it's my favorite city in the country.
This is my first time to be here in Montreal, and it feels like, you are in an old city where you experience some great food and great people.
Once you're in the city, you'll enjoy incredible food. So restaurant, terrace, music, the way of living. I think we're good at it.
We got to have some crepes this morning, and that was super good. And yeah, I'm excited to try some poutine. I hear that's the thing to do.
Yeah, I could definitely go for a poutine right now. I still haven't found a really good one here in Kuala Lumpur. But back in Vancouver, my go-to spot is this place on Davie Street downtown. They've got all kinds of poutine with different toppings, but honestly, I keep it simple. Fries, gravy, and cheese curds. That's all you need. Now, I'm sure Montreal would tell me that doesn't compare to the real thing. But getting back to the tourists, if I were from Montreal, I'd honestly feel proud hearing those comments about the city. And even though I'm not from Montreal myself, hearing international visitors talk positively about Canada like that still feels like a win for the whole country. Because let's be real, a lot of these tourists probably aren't just visiting one place. Some of them are likely traveling through Quebec City, the Maritimes, Ontario, or even heading out west too. And yeah, you guys can probably hear the thunder in the background right now. There's a pretty big storm happening here at the moment, but it'll probably pass in half an hour or so. Now, sticking with the Montreal theme, the Montreal Canadiens are the only Canadian team left in the NHL playoffs. And look, I know this isn't a sports channel, but I am a hockey fan, so of course I'm backing the last Canadian team standing. Just a heads up though, the rest of this video is mostly going to be hockey talk, so if you're watching internationally or hockey isn't really your thing, no hard feelings if you click off here. Seriously, it's all good. I just wanted to talk hockey for a bit, but if you do stick around and help out the algorithm, I definitely appreciate it. Alright, let's take a look at how the city is getting ready for round 2.
No more buffalo sauce, no more buffalo wraps, no more buffalo chicken burgers.
In St. Anne de Bellevue, where City Hall flies the Habs flag, Cunningham's Pub has changed the names of items on their menu.
These are the buffalo wings, these are Montreal wings.
Pub owner Jim Beauchamp says Buffalo may have originated chicken wings, but Montreal originated hockey.
Okay, I just learned something new today. I had no idea buffalo wings actually originated in Buffalo, New York. I mean, looking back, it probably should have been obvious, but honestly, I never really thought about it until now.
As the Canadian will do, we wanted to erase buffalo.
At Renzo's in Mile End, they've also scrubbed the B word from their menu, part of playoff fever. TSN 690 sports radio commentator Sean Campbell says the fans' excitement is understandable as the Habs make their way into the next series.
And this could be the year. The window is there. You could see the path to the Stanley Cup, and I think that's where the excitement is.
Now, I'm not going to lie, it's definitely easier for me to cheer for the Montreal Canadiens than it was cheering for the Oilers last year. No offense to Oilers fans, but The rivalry is there. And on top of that, my wife's from Edmonton, so she's an Oilers fan too. So last year was a little complicated in this house, but honestly, I do hope the Canadiens make a deep playoff run this year, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye on it.
Monkey Sports has had a run on jerseys, and Elizabeth Mons says clients can only talk about one thing here.
We actually broadcast the game on all of our TVs, so everybody, whether they're on the arena side or they're just coming in to pick up their skates from their sharpening, everybody's watching. It's so exciting.
Yet, Campbell has a word of awareness.
Got to watch out for the Sabres. They're a big team. They skate hard. They've got a great big forecheck. So the matchup is not going to be easy. You cannot walk into this series with any sort of overconfidence. You have to be confident, but don't be overconfident.
Smart advice for the team and their fans.